Hi everyone, this is Amy at LittleSurprisesYT, and today I'm going to show you how to make this watermelon trinket box in this Watch Me resin. This was kind of inspired after my little koi pond trinket box, and I'm going to show you step by step how I made it. If you want to check out some of my previous watermelon tutorials, check the link down below or click one of the videos on the screen. So I am using a silicone mold. You can use a plastic mold, but I have a hard time pushing the product out of it, so I'm going to be using a silicone mold. I am using epoxy resin, but you can use UV resin if you want. You would just need a lot of it. As you can see, this epoxy resin that I'm using is super hard, rigid, and does not bend at all whatsoever in heat or in the sunlight. So I'm going to get started. So with the top portion of the mold, we are going to start out with the seeds. What I am doing is adding a small portion of clear resin on top, and then using my popsicle stick to kind of move the resin to the sides to spread it out and also prevent bubbles. To get rid of excess bubbles, I am using a blowtorch, but I do recommend a heat gun since the silicone mold can get damaged from fire. To make the seeds, I'm using black polymer clay and making little teardrop shapes, and then adding it into my still wet resin. You can bake the clay seeds if you want, but I decided that I wasn't going to do this since it's going to be encapsulated in the resin completely anyway, so baking it is totally optional in my opinion. After my resin has hardened or is at least super tacky, I decide that I can pour my second layer of resin into this. And here my resin is already hardened, so I mixed some clear resin and added a small dab of red. You don't need a lot. This will create the translucent color of the watermelon, but if you want it more opaque, then you can add more red if you choose. It's better to put in a little amount of coloring and then add more if you need more. Here I'm just adding some glitter, and this again is totally optional. I just like the little shine that it gives it. The first time that I made my trinket box, the lip was too thick, so I'm going to make it thinner by adding less resin towards the top. And again, I'm using my popsicle stick to remove any bubbles that get trapped underneath. And then I am also going to add the rest of my red resin into the bowl portion of the trinket box. Now you want to do this very slowly. You want to prevent bubbles from forming. And I'm going to leave this top layer, which is going to form the bottom of our bowl, clear because we're going to add green later on. So once this resin has hardened or becomes super tacky, or hard enough so that you can peel off any of these small bits, it is time to add our green layer of the watermelon. I added most of the resin into the bowl and then used my popsicle stick to again move it into the little crevices so that not too many bubbles get trapped underneath. Then I poured in the remaining of my resin. After the resin has completely hardened, mine took about 16 hours, you can pop it out of the mold, and this is what it looks like me popping it out, so you can hear kind of everything that's going on, and you can see how I am slowly pushing it out of the silicone mold so I'm not tearing or damaging the mold in any way. This is what it looks like, and I love the shine that's given to it by the silicone mold. You can see that the seeds are very clear, and because we added that first layer of clear resin, it's not overpowered by any of the red. Here I made the lip a lot thinner so that there's more room in the bowl, and then you can just sand off any of these stray pieces that are at the bottom. For the bowl portion of the trinket box, again, I'm just slowly prying apart the silicone from the actual piece. You can actually see the colors change from the mold detaching from the trinket box, and here I'm just squeezing the mold out of it. And you just pop it back together, and then we can store away our silicone molds. This is what the bowl portion looks like. You can see the separation from the red and the green, making it look very watermelon-like, and it's super rigid, super hard. Again, this depends on the epoxy resin you're using, so definitely experiment with different brands to see which resin you like. I'm still doing so myself. As you can see, the rim has no bubbles because we popped most of it before by kind of rubbing our toothpick or popsicle stick around in the mold, and you can sand off any of these stray pieces. So this is what the entire Trinket box looks like. I love it, and even though we made the lip of the lid a little smaller, it still fits perfectly and will not budge if you move the Trinket box around. So here are our two Trinket boxes together. You can hear how rigid they are and the lip size differences. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you found this Watch Me Resin helpful, and I hope you guys are enjoying more tutorials that I'm posting. If you have any suggestions, please leave it down below. If you want to check out more watermelon tutorials, please check the link down below or click one of the videos on the screen.